Hey guys, John here. Today's synth spotlight is none other than UVI Falcon. I've had this thing for a few weeks now, and my god, this is insane. So I've used the basic synthesizers, the intermediate ones, the advanced ones, complicated depending on how you want to talk about it or describe it. Falcon is on an entirely different level. This, in my opinion, is something kind of like metasynthesis. It is a workshop of sound design that is so in-depth and lets you do really whatever you want to do, and it sounds amazing. So with that being said, if you first load this up and you're kind of looking at it and you kind of think, okay, what is this? This is completely different from what I'm used to. And yes, you are correct. And that is a good thing because it kind of turns the process of sound design a little bit on its head, and it might be strange at first if we're used to kind of, the oscillator, the filter, the effects and modulations, things like that, which it all can do, but it kind of does it a little bit different on different hierarchy levels. So with that being said, it might look a little strange, but once you kind of wrap your head around it, read the manual a little bit, which is actually very well written, you can kind of get a good concept of how this works, and then from there, it is just mind-blowing what you can do and what Falcon offers. So I thought let's check out a couple different of the presets that comes with it and then kind of just look a little how this works and so on and so forth. So first one here is going to be this ARP Hopwood B2.0. Then we have ARP Voyage. Pretty amazing. And what we're looking at here in this info tab is basically the macros that are set up for this patch here, which actually looks very nice, and we can see what they're doing and so on and so forth. And a lot of the stuff that you're hearing, so Falcon combines synthesis and then sampling in a very, very advanced and a very cool way. So with that being said, let's go over to a new program over here and kind of just look and see what's going on here. So right now we were looking in the info tab, but if we look at the edit tab, so this is kind of basically a blank slate. Let's go over here to parts, right? So Falcon comes with different parts, and we can make a certain type of patch and then maybe save that as a program, right? And then you can have another program and then another program, and you're mixing a lot of different types of sounds together as basically one whole patch. It's a whole different concept of how we save patches and how we structure things, which is going to kind of make sense later once we look at the mixer, right, for different types of parts and all that. So for something very basic, when you first open this up, we're kind of used to having our oscillators, our filters, and all that stuff set up for us, which is great. But the more in-depth and the more advanced for sound design that you want to get into, you're going to need more advanced tools and you're going to need more advanced workflow, which is exactly what Falcon is. So with that being said, on this right-hand browser over here, if we click this waveform over here, we can see that under these two categories, we have sample, which we can click this down. We'll kind of go through that at a different point in time. But for now, under the synthesis here, if we go under the analog right up here, we can go for a basic saw wave. Now, the way this works is we're taking this basic saw oscillator and we have to drag this down to our keys, right? And we can move and we can drag it up and down depending on what keys are going to be triggering this oscillator, which is mind-blowing. So if we turn this to the top, it's going to select everything, we let go, and then boom, we have our oscillator. Now, that's very cool. We might think, oh, why isn't it already set up for us, so on and so forth, but this is basically telling us what keys do we want this oscillator to play, a key group, right? So we can see down here key group number 1. So with that being said, we can have this oscillator 1 playing on maybe half of the keys, and then we have an entirely different sound or oscillator or sample or both or whatever you want to do really on a different key group. So as you have your keyboard in front of you, you can really customize what each key does or what each key group does. So it gets very, very in-depth very quickly. So first things first, we have here the saw wave, right? Awesome. So we have our basic controls here. We have our waveform we can change over here. We have some pulse width modulation. And then we have start phase, polarity, so on and so forth. Stuff that we're kind of already familiar with. And then we have voices for some unison. And you can scroll with your mouse wheel, which is really awesome. I love when companies do that. It makes the workflow just so much easier. It's the little things like that that really stand out to me. And then we can stereoize it and then start spreading it around. Do a little detune. You think, okay, all right, I'm already set up over here. And then we can see this analog over here is basically what this is here. So if we want to add another oscillator, we can just click this button over here, go to analog, click that. Now we have another one. And let's say we want to change this to a square. But keep in mind over here, this might be already on or off for you. This is linking these settings over here between the oscillators. So if you want to change different tunings with the stuff up here, make sure to uncheck that link over there. Now in the analog, let's change this to a square. And we can turn these on and off as we like to. So there's just our square, and then there's just our saw wave with unison. And together. And then over here on the right, we can click this drop-down menu, and we have a lot of different stuff to choose from as well. And if we don't like this, we can always click the X, and then it just deletes that square wave oscillator that we added. And what's really cool as well, so let's turn this off for now. We click this plus, and then we can go to this analog stack. And then boom, we have 8 different oscillators at our disposal. We can change the waveforms just like we did for the other ones. We have a lot of different settings, gain, panning, octave, semi, sense, pitch, so on and so forth. And we just turn these different ones on depending on what we want to use. And that's literally just the oscillator section right there. We have FM synthesis, we have different stuff more so tailored towards drums. So if we close this and close this here, we can say, let's go to a new program here, hit OK, and let's say in the drum, let's go to maybe what do we have here? Let's go a random one here, BD809, drag this over here, and then we have something like this. Now, a lot of these things are tailored to exactly what it is you want to create, and they're all going to have their specialized different types of controls. So we can turn this off here, and then maybe go to, let's say, in a different folder, let's go to symbol, something like this, a dirty tuned. What is this going to be? So this, I hope you're kind of getting the concept of, we have different types of oscillators. It's not just like one oscillator, square, sine, saw, whatever. It's a lot of different specialized oscillators to do really what you want to do. And like I said, that's only really in the synthesis category. So there's a lot of stuff with samples and so on and so forth, which more so as time goes on, I'm going to start adding some more Falcon stuff to the channel because I believe you're going to get a lot of value through this plugin. It's just amazing how in-depth it can go. Like I said before, though, the learning curve is a little steep, but really, whenever you get a new piece of gear or a new synth, what learning curve really isn't. So if you're kind of familiar, so on and so forth, with basic sound design, it's just going to take time, a little bit of effort, and you're going to be amazed at all the stuff it can do. So highly recommend to check out Falcon for yourself. I have included the link to the website below, and maybe it's something you can incorporate in the future because Falcon, I believe I've fallen in love with it so much, and I think it should be a staple on this channel as well. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we're going to see you in the next video. Have a good day.